Anyways, before we get to some old tweets exposed, we had some Timberwolves snubbage yesterday. LaMelo
Yeah.
Ball not only wins the NBA's Rookie of the Year award, of the
hmm
99 first place votes, LaMelo got 84 out of 99 first place votes, and Ant got only 15. Those are the only two guys that got first place votes. I was not entirely shocked that the league and people that follow the league. It's not like Charlotte's a huge city, but LaMelo Ball was the marquee name. He was the household name. The Ball family and all the media coverage, right? Like he was the flashiest asset in the draft, and got a lot more media coverage throughout the year than Anthony Edwards. But I want to run this by you guys and see what you think. I actually think it's a great thing for Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves that he got snubbed, because he sort of confirmed my theory on this when someone tweeted, NBA doesn't know what they've done. They've poked the bear." And Ant Edwards retweeted with like 3 100 signs basically saying, yeah, they did poke the bear. I love, because athletes love to look at any whiteboard material. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, I mean, they wake up every morning for 2 decades thinking about all the teams that didn't draft them when they should have, right? I mean, Brady gets to go through like, 160 or 200 teams in his head.
Right.
And Rodgers gets to go through the list of Randy Moss. Like Randy Moss, in his mind, he was like, Dallas, passed on me, going to burn them, right? Ant Edwards, I think, is going to use this as fuel for the next 5+ years to become a beast, the best possible player he can be, and to take it out on the rest of the league. So it would have been nice to see him get the credit that he deserves, but I kind of like the fact that this is now fuel for his every day when he wakes up. He can think about this and maximize his strengths as a player.
I was surprised that the voting itself was that one-sided towards Ball. Like, I'm not surprised Ball won it, but I thought that Ant would get more love there because it's not like he didn't show up on highlights. I mean, my God, the man's dunks were on them on a consistent basis. But yeah, I mean, if this gives him something where he can now be focused on improving himself as a player because he got snubbed in that way, absolutely. It's funny too because we, to me, are now on 3 players in this market who just experienced their rookie seasons who are marvelous talents. And Justin Jefferson got snubbed for quarterback. Not a big shock, but Justin Jefferson very well might have deserved that award in the National Football League. Ant got snubbed. Kaprizov will not be snubbed. But the point is that it is fun to have a group of young players who are this good. And if this helps Ant, that is awesome because he is, with a guy like Cat, I'm not sure it would help Cat. Cat's a different dude. But with a guy like Ant, I think it's very safe to say that this will definitely provide some type of fuel to how he approaches next season. Yeah, that's true.
Here's the other thing that's amazing, and you're seeing this play out in the playoffs right now. Durability matters. To me, like, if a guy played really well for let's just use the exact example. If a guy played really well or pretty well for 50 games and another guy played really well for 72 games, the 20 games missed should factor in to some extent. In fact, Ant Edwards, if you just take his last 40 games, so sort of almost the entire Chris Finch era of Wolves basketball, and give him the first 20 or 30 games to get his feet under him as a rookie, and you look at the last 40 games, Ant Edwards was averaging 24 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, a couple of steals. He was shooting well from three-point land, and he had games where he carried the Wolves 42-point game, a couple of 30-point games. I mean, I think he went through that whole stretch, 40 games, and I think he scored double digits in all 40 of those games. Mm-hmm. LaMelo Ball, who, again, missed 20 games, durability should matter, and he's a good player. He had games of 4 points down the stretch, fourth to last game of the season, a 5-point game on 1 of 9 shooting, second to last game of the year, 4 of 15, 8 points. And I get that he was, maybe not 100% coming back in those last 10 games, but when you look at how good were they down the stretch, getting better as rookies too, it's not even close. By the end of the year, Ant Edwards was by far the better player over LaMelo Ball. And I think people just remember, early in the season, LaMelo was flashy and shot better than we thought because we have such a low bar for like ball family broken shot. Like, oh, that guy, boy, we saw him in a couple Australian basketball highlights and he was shooting bricks like with a weird motion. Oh, he's better than he's better than we thought. Let's give him the award.
As far as this goes too, this should actually be fuel for every player on that team, because there is no question that part of when you get as few votes and you were as good as Ant was, this also comes down to your team is considered a non-factor and
absolutely
and a joke, because it like put Ant on, let's say, the Bulls. So again, not a great team, but a team that's got a rich history, has championships, obviously. Ant might have won it on the Bulls. My point being is when you receive as few votes as he did, that means across the board your franchise is being dismissed completely. So like if I'm Finch, I use this not just for Ant, but if I'm Ant, I come back and say, this isn't just about me, guys. This is about the fact that we are and rightfully so a punchline. So let's change that.
Yeah. Well, I like that point you brought up, and sometimes I hate to do the. It's Minnesota's just flyover country. In the Timberwolves case, they have earned their standing as an irrelevant franchise.
It's not our state; it's their franchise.
Yeah, and I think I love the Timberwolves, and I've just I went to all the games during the Kurt Rambis era, hoping, just praying that these Wes Johnson's going to be a star, right? So I am a little bit Pollyanna with the Timberwolves, but what you just said is correct. If Ant Edwards is posterizing players and taking over games down the stretch and putting up a 40-point game here in a Lakers uniform, in a Knicks uniform, in a Brooklyn uniform, in any of the big East or West Coast markets, in a Miami uniform, right?
Yeah, like I said, the Bulls.
Yeah, the Bulls in Chicago for sure.
Absolutely.
He wins Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Also, too, just watching these playoffs, and my God, I can't believe the Jazz lost to a Kawhi-less Clippers team.
Did you watch the Sixers game last night?
Was it a 26-point lead?
Philadelphia was up by 26 points. First half,
dude.
I turned the game. I went
Simmons,
to
man.
the hockey game. So, all right, I got a question about that. So I know that the Hack-a-Shack problem has been cleared up at the end of games now, because there's
the last
2 minutes, right?
Yeah. Okay,
but why are you for your sport? Why are they allowing this to still be a thing? The Hawks had a guy. I kid you not. I was watching this in the first half. The Hawks player fouled Simmons in the backcourt, and they didn't call it. And he started jumping up and down and pushed him again, so the referee would see it. So they would send Simmons to the line.
Dude, that's hilarious.
It feels to me like they should clean that up. That's not really exciting basketball.
It is weird.
I fouled him. Did you see that?
It should definitely be an intentional foul. It should be free throws in possession all the time. I don't know.
Yes.
It is a weird loophole.
Why not?
And then, of course, on the Ben Simmons front, dude, are you serious? You've been in the league now for a handful of years, and you can't shoot. He can't shoot anything outside 5 feet, basically.
But he's
brilliant at getting to 5 feet and brilliant at distributing and rebounding and those things. But holy cow, dude!
They showed the stats last night. He was actually the first half of the season had really improved himself there, and then it went down a bit. And in the play, so it's all mental.
Yeah, dude.
You can't fix the I can't throw to first base problem.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's yips, and he just can't shoot, and he's never been. He couldn't shoot in college, and so that game was compelling. But I'll even throw, because you mentioned that game. The reason I love the upside in the future of Ant Edwards so much, it's not that there aren't big men who are dominating. I mean, obviously Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, helped the Lakers to a title last year, but what's really driving winning in the NBA right now are these combo guards, and some are labeled point guards like Steph Curry. Yeah. And by the way, I am not putting Ant Edwards on a Hall of Fame level yet. I'm just saying the type of player he profiles as is sort of a bigger Donovan Mitchell, right? And Utah lost last night, but Trae Young, you brought up the Hawks. Trae Young is a point guard, and he's small, much, much smaller, in a totally different game, but it's these combo guards that you can put the ball in their hands and they just create. And they'll either create their own offense or they'll suck the defense in, and boom, now you've got ball movement. And that's the way, because you can't hand check anymore the last 15 years in the NBA. And so if you've got a great either point guard, shooting guard, or just call him a combo guard, who can break into the paint, who can shoot himself, break into the paint, put an opposing team in the spin cycle, right? The Wolves have that in Anthony Edwards. And D'Lo can do some of that too. But you watch some of these guys like Devin Booker, the guys who've really, after 5 or 6 years, the combo guards who've really made it. Dame Lillard, Devin Booker now is finally getting a spotlight, and what Donovan Mitchell's been doing, even Jamal Murray before the injury and last year in the playoffs. This is the scary part. Ant Edwards is that type of a player in terms of being able to handle the ball, get his own shot. He's a 6'4", 230-pound freight train. He's bigger than all these other guys. So his upside and peak potential is actually, like, his ceiling is higher than Donovan Mitchell's ceiling. And we're watching Donovan Mitchell pour in 35, 40 points, take over games against some of the best teams in the world.
Don't do this to yourself.
And it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy because it's the Timberwolves. I'm just saying.
Don't do it to yourself.
The upside of Ant Edwards is a better version of what you're seeing with Donovan Mitchell. All right? I'm not saying he's guaranteed to reach it. I'm just saying that's his upside.
We got to help him.
Oh.
I mean,
let me have this. Let me have
something's going to happen now. I know it. I want
to hear if you're watching on the SKOR North YouTube channel. Am I just a crazed Timberwolves maniac for even bringing that comparison to the table? Tell me.
You might not be if what you just said hadn't jinxed it and like something bad's now going to take place, or he's going to demand a trade. I don't know. I feel like anytime the Wolves are the one franchise, like I have a sense of foreboding about all of the teams in this town. But the Wolves are the one where it's almost certain catastrophe will take place.
Right. I watch these guys dominate the playoffs, and I'm like, man. I mean, the Timberwolves have that, and he's like 3 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier. He's unstoppable.
What's happened to the playoffs in this league, Phil? I feel like when we started doing this show together, and we talked about this, and you did a lot. It was really predictable, and like there was a very one seeds didn't lose, and I'm not saying that they do a lot now, but the point is that there was sort of a predictability that didn't make the playoffs as fun. It didn't make them compelling because they weren't good games, but like you sort of knew by the numbers who was going to do what. It feels like that has really shifted, and it's way more fun now.
Yeah, well, I think when you and I first started doing our show, it was right at the end of the LeBron Heat super team era, and the Spurs had kind of an in and out, like 15-year dynasty, 20-year dynasty. And what you're seeing the last 2 or 3 years with LeBron in Los Angeles, you don't really have – now that the Warriors super team broke up with Durant leaving and injuries have eroded them, there's only one what I would call super team in terms of like 3 great superstars all together, and it's Brooklyn, and they can't stay healthy. It's like the 3 most brittle superstars in the entire league, and you know – They're finding a way, and Kevin Durant just played all 48 minutes, and I'm guessing they're going to close out the Bucks if they get anything from James Harden. But for the most part around the league, we're kind of back to the 2 great player combos, and then whatever your system and complementary stash of players is. Right in Denver, it was Jamal Murray and Jokic before Jamal Murray went down. In Utah, it's Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. In Los Angeles, it's LeBron and Anthony Davis, and so. And the Spurs have sort of subsided with all those guys retiring. The Warriors, if Clay comes back after 2 years of injuries, and him and Curry are still at the back end of their prime, and they could add a 3rd superstar, right? Or maybe James Wiseman becomes the 3rd superstar. Maybe they're back to being a super
Wiggy.
team.
What are you talking about?
And Wiggy, yeah. But my long answer to your question is, we don't have like the LeBron Heat with 3 Hall of Famers, or 4 if you count Ray Allen for those 2 years. We've just got a bunch of really good teams with 2 really good all-star players, and it's leveled the playing field, and it makes it more like we have no idea who's going to win the championship.
But isn't that great?
It's great.
Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and some people are like, well, it's going to be a fake title because 9 all-stars have been injured. It's like, well, injuries happen. Yeah. I think it's fun that the NBA is giving you more unpredictability in the first 2 or 3 rounds. Like usually the NBA is sort of wake me in the conference finals, and then we can talk about
all playoffs in at least hockey and basketball are a war of attrition, right? This is why I said that the bubble playoffs to me were far more fake, because you gave these guys a huge time off to come back healthy and
Anthony
then play.
Davis.
Yeah, which doesn't make it bad, but it's not. That's not the sport. Like the sport is a ton of guys are going to get hurt. So who survives it? So I would actually argue that what we're seeing now in the NBA is a far more genuine playoff system than one that gives guys an enormous break and then says come back healthy and we'll have a lot of fun. So I disagree with that.
Yep, it's been a blast. So all right, let's get to Declan every week here on the show. Goes back in the Twitter archives, and he does this courtesy of our friends at Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com. All right, if you're looking to ride deep into the playoffs with your 6'4", 230-pound freight train combo guard, maybe you should ride either on a Harley, Metro Cruiser Sport. Doesn't matter what you ride. You should ride with DennisKirk.com though. 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. Order by 8 p.m. and they ship the same day, and shipping is free for orders over $89. When the open road calls, the road deep into the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. Come on, Timberwolves. Head to DennisKirk.com. They ship today. All right, Declan. I feel like Declan's on like a 2-week win streak, quote unquote, in old tweets exposed.
So we're actually going to do a little substitute for Judd. We're going to do an old take expose from February when the Twins signed a certain free agent.
We're going to do this entire conversation like that.
Torrey Hunter was a sideways hat guy a little bit in the outfield. He'd crank it over after a nice catch. Fernando Rodney was a sideways guy. Yep. Yeah, I think it had something to do with his family, though. I think that was
his father. Yeah. But yes, it's a good move. And here's why. So I will fully admit that I was on the impatient train of when are these guys going to make some moves, right? We all were. Let's just call a spade here. But let me tell you where Falvey and Levine, I think, have struck sort of financial gold here. And it's this. Sergio Romo's option, which was not picked up for 2021, Phil, was due to be $4.75 million, okay? That's a fairly good chunk of change for a guy who talked a lot, and he was a fun guy, and he was okay, but he certainly was not great. Okay, they bought him out for $250,000. That's pretty good. But here's where the deal is really good. Coleman signs 2021 with basically a team option for 2022, but his salary for 2021, $5 million. In other words, for approximately the exact same price, they got Coleman over Romo. And if I was to have come to you a month ago or 2 months back and said Romo back or sign Coleman, think we all say sign Coleman.
Now, Judd left. Judd's so embarrassed he left. In Judd's defense, Sergio Romo has not been much better than Alex Coleman, but at the same time, sideways hat guy, you were all on board, and I think it took 2 appearances for Judd to jump right off the Alex Coleman bandwagon.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say to that. Like at the time, I thought it was well reasoned. I did a little research on it.
Sure.
I'll say this: I'm in the lead.
Okay.
I'm just pulling him up here just for fun here. So Alex Coleman. All right,
that was a really bad take.
Play a little game here.
Yeah. What?
So Alex Coleman has made, it looks like, 26 appearances for the Minnesota Twins.
I got Romo's numbers too, right up here.
He has a 5.63 earned run average.
Can't get anyone out.
And he has given up, 40 plus 43 base runners in 24 innings for the Twins this season.
And Sergio Romo, 26 appearances for the Oakland A's this season, a 5.4 ERA. So just slightly better than Alex Coleman, but he is allowing 10 hits per 9, a whip of 1.5. Goo. Not
rough.
But I mean,
great, man.
Oh, I have nothing.
Were you trying to defend it? Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, no. Are you kidding? There's no defending that.
Oh, great.
So, all right, leader in the clubhouse here.
Yeah. My computer just crashed.
Thanks for.
That's awesome.
Oh, no. Declan's computer.
Oh, it crashed.
So we'll give you a minute to bring it back there.
In my defense, Judd, you're not the only one who had Alex Coleman takes. I also had Alex Coleman takes.
Real quick, as we buy time for Declan here, is it not amazing? Did all of the pitchers the Twins signed in free agency. Now I know that they would say, "Well, what about Farrell, for instance, who has been okay for 10 starts for 10
That's a
appearances?"
That's a minor signing.
The ones they signed all flopped, right?
Yeah.
Hap, Shoemaker, Colome.
Yes.
Robles has Robles has a decent ERA, so he hasn't been as much of a colossal failure.
No, but he's a tightrope guy. I mean, he walks a ton of guys. He makes nothing easy. Yes, their free agent signings, pitching wise, were atrocious. And did you see who got hurt last night? Who left the game? Well, 2 guys left, but Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, what was the calf strain?
It's the calf again. And then Andrews and Simmons did something running to first base as well. So besides that, and by the way, the season's done, so it's not that I care about them actually playing, because at this point in time I don't. Here's what I care about: their value. Like if you were going to get a low-level prospect for Simmons, well, if he's on the IL now, guess what you ain't getting for a while? A low-level prospect. So anyway, that's the problem.
I'm gonna say something against my better judgment. I'm not gonna go all in on it, but I just want to point out I'm not in love with the coverage of this year's Twins team across the board, across Minnesota media. It doesn't feel like people are shining a light enough on the failure of this franchise over the course of 18 playoff games and now this season. And so last night, the Twins won, but they're 14 games under 500. The front office has whiffed on every free agent pitching signing that they brought in. Not only whiffed, but those guys have derailed the season. Shoemaker, Colome, Hap, derailed the season.
It's a disaster.
Yep. There's a rift between Byron Buxton and the franchise that might even go back a few years, but clearly they're not on the same page. And Josh Donaldson just popped his calf for the 100th time. And one of the stories off last night's game was about how Ryan Jeffers has been hot for the last 2 weeks. Why can't we it's okay to criticize this colossal failure. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to go any further than that because I don't want to.
I guess here's my question though, and to his credit, Royce on Unchained brought this up Monday. Okay, so there is credit due here, but Patrick's been doing this a long time, and he mocks me for my conspiracy theories at times, but he's got some as well. And he came on his Unchained show and basically said something's weird here. I think Buxton's not happy, and this is before the Buxton comments, by the way. So this is. And then Buxton comes out and basically says, I can play. What's going on here? I'm on the trip. And for that not to be a major story, if this is New York, if Byron Buxton's a Met, that's dominating the tabloids and headlines everywhere. Where is that? A guy who is having an all-star season, and when he's playing, he's an all-star. And it's been absolutely fantastic and is a key to your future if he has one here, is unhappy. I'm curious where that, you can't bang that drum enough. The fundamental problem between teams and journalists or people that cover teams, to me, always boil down to something Brad Childress said years ago. And Phil, you might have been on the beat at the time. But we were, as always, during a media session, hyper-focused on injuries because it's football. And I finally asked him, I'm like, what's your deal with injuries? We need to report on them. And he said, I think it's a lazy way to go about your business. You should be looking for other stories. And in his mind, that's how he's thinking. Write about my fullback or something, right? But all that matters is if a guy can't play. So, and I don't blame him for his take, but his take is wrong in our world, because our world is to present the reader with what's going on. What's the most important thing?
Yeah. And by the way, he's using the word lazy there. It's no, his agenda is to try and protect that information
100%.
From getting out for competitive reasons. Right?
And 100%. So I'm not even faulting him. What I'm saying is that's the disconnect. But to bring it full circle to the conversation we're having right now, Byron Buxton and this whole thing is incredibly important. What's going on right now is going to shape if this guy is here long term.
Absolutely.
Right, we're back in business.
Nice.
We decided to crash, but we are
Ooh, that
we
was
are
some
back
tap
in business.
dancing.
Yeah, it was some tap dancing. Thank you, hosts. Thank you, associate producers. Appreciate you. All right. I had an Alex Colome take as well. You're not alone, Judd. Colome is a legit dude. That's a big get for the bullpen, if indeed true. So it's probably when there was reported rumors he was signing. But yes, Colome is a legit dude, so I'm not the only one who had Alex Colome takes.
Or were you saying Colome is a legit dude, or was it more like Colome is legit dude?
Colome is legit dude. Yeah,
well, then you need a comma.
Yeah. Well, yeah, grammar, that'd be great. It's old tweets exposed, not Declan's grammar
kidding you.
exposed.
I'm kidding you. I still lead because I came with receipts of like this great take. That was
Sure.
awful.
Yeah, I think
right.
Judd's the leader in the clubhouse for sure.
All right. Well, here was Phil on April 8th, 2021, not too long ago. I'll be the
God.
first to say it. The Twins look like they have a legit chance to win a playoff game this year, and when they do, we're popping the expensive stuff.
Okay.
Listen,
All right.
I will say, obviously, this was a slightly tongue-in-cheek tweet here, but the fact that we're sitting here in the middle of June and they're nowhere near the playoffs means we're not popping the
Declan?
expensive stuff.
You decide who wins because Phil's tweet is pretty good.
I think it's Judd.
Okay.
I do
Judd
too.
actually
I think
wins.
it's Judd
Okay.
too. I mean,
Hey.
Judd had his hat sideways and
Yeah.
like he was paying homage to Alex
was.
Coleman.
My hoodie on.
And-
I missed
and
the
by the
little
way,
bit.
I want to point out this tweet because we talked about it was happening with Doogie 10 years ago. We were in the midst of it. Well, of Declan Goff Facebook status on June 11th, 2011, 10 years ago today, 11 of our last 13, watch out, Tigers. So we were in the midst of the middle of it's happening 10 years ago at this moment.
Yep, we were getting the T-shirt plans and blueprints ready here. There was a game. Let me find the date of it here.
The Giants game
Yep,
in
2011.
San Francisco.
Twins.
I remember I was
It was
in my
against a
car.
rookie Madison Bumgarner, I think, and they lit him up for like 9 runs in the first inning, and it
Yep.
was bonker. It was early days of Twitter,
Yep.
and it was
remember
like
it well.
people were coming to the realization, holy crap! All right, it was June 21st,
Of 11.
and so Declan's tweet was on what, June 17th.
17th
They had
today,
beat the Padres 6-5. So after Declan's tweet. And at the time of Declan's tweet, the Twins had pulled to within 8 games of the division lead. But after Declan's tweet, the Twins won 2 more games against San Diego and then went out to San Francisco and hung a 9 spot on Madison Bumgarner in the first inning to pull to within 6.5 games of first place after being as far back as 16.5
Wow.
a few weeks later. So they made up 10 games in the standings over like a 2.5 or 3 week stretch. And we had oh my God. We had the It's Happening hashtag had taken off, and like they're putting up 9 on the Giants. And again, this is early days of Twitter, but we had It's Happening was like nationally trending on Twitter at the time. And it was just a live stream of oh my God, they're gonna do this, like they're back in the race, they're gonna get players back from injury. And we had boxes of T-shirts ready to be sold and shipped out to people. And we just needed like the storefront website to be activated. And our old promotions director, who shall go nameless, there's no reason to throw him under the bus, 10 years ago at 1500 ESPN, kind of a slower paced worker, let's say. He's like, yeah, we should. This game was on a Tuesday night. Yeah, I think we should have this ready probably by either the morning or Thursday morning. And we were like, dude, flip the switch, like figure out some way, flip the switch now. So it didn't launch until 2 days later. Well, the Twins lost 6 straight games the rest of the week to fall back 10 games behind, including it culminated with a 15-0 loss at home to the Dodgers 5 days later. And so the It's Happening movement sort of came to a screeching halt after that game.
A very good lesson about timing.
Yep. Got to capitalize. Print the
Exactly
shirts
right.
quickly is the motto there. All right, boys. Good show here today. If you guys want in-depth daily breakdowns of Vikings minicamp, we're providing those on Purple Daily every single day as well. The movie for tomorrow, we're back to Rom-Com Rewind as part of the
watched last
Mackie and
night.
Judd movie review franchise. You've Got Mail. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
You've got mail.
And
wait.
rest assured, we will be talking about our old AOL Instant Messenger screen.
You know what I've
yeah.
got? I've got takes.
Ding.
Ding. Hello, Meg and Tom. I've got takes.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow on Mackie and Judd. Thanks for hanging.
Way.